Hey, what's up? Back at you with another video. I hope you are well and doing okay. Today we are checking out DJ Warras, the shady lurker, who is on Penuel Show, and he's talking about white people and this country falling apart if they leave. And that is also the title of Penuel's video over here, which says what? What does it say? What? Says if white people leave, South Africa will collapse. Right? And so let's listen to him right quick, and I'll tell you how I believe that Warras and anyone during this time, if you want to see a sign of the right-wing media, if you want to see the tracks, the fingerprints of everyone right now who is busy on this disrespect campaign of getting black minds to be fearful of the white people leaving. If you want to understand that there's a coordinated attack here on the black person's mind from America and the locals, if you understand how communication works, that there's a transmitter and there's a receiver or a responder, right? There's one who speaks and the one who speaks back second after this one spoke first. You realize here that there's a campaign from the United States to say white Afrikaners come here. It's a bluff, and the bluff failed a number of weeks ago already because Afrikaners have not left. However, because they have not left and they were never going to leave, the actual effect of what that was supposed to do was supposed to be on the mind of the black person. So Trump says, come here. It's supposed to now scare people as they watch the Afrikaners leave. But that doesn't happen. They say, let's stick to the plan now. Let's get people responding on this side, telling us about how we should beg for the white people not to leave, how we should cling on to them, how we should want to have them stay here, how we should be afraid of facing a situation like Zimbabwe if any of that happens. So we are listening to now Warras, and this conversation and this segment takes place at around about 7 minutes 30 seconds or so on the Convo Show, previously called as the Penuel Show. So
first of all, they're not going to go. But if we're going to get into that, I think that's stupid. You can't just say these people must all go. Let's in. What the fuck?
So first of all, they're not going to go. He admits that Trump's bluff has not really worked. So what is the importance of the conversation going forward? Whites are staying. I actually believe that on the last day of Earth, when Jesus arrives and he says, final whistle, I'm closing this thing down. Earth is not continuing anymore. This is the end. This is Judgment Day. There will be white people exactly where they are in South Africa. And on that day, some of us will actually come to recognize, but guys, there were these Warrases and them on these Penuel shows hyping up white people and their importance. And we're going to hear a bit more about how he tries to piece this together and hide it, inside what looks like an intellectual discussion, a debate about the importance of white people and black people. So he's just going to bring in the black people and say, look, them too are important. So therefore, if the black people are important, you really cannot say that the white people should just go. That's the logic that he's spreading over here. Let's keep listening. Then we'll hop on over to Julius Malema, who is also coaxed into answering the question of the importance of white people, and he gives an answer that will really show you who Warras is and who the black people on the side of black people are. Because Warras is a colored dude. You probably say he speaks for us black people, but you can detect here his problematic nature.
What the fuck? The place will fuck out in a matter of months.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
As it has already again. Gradually
yes, the place will fuck out.
We need to be very realistic.
Let me give you this example. Asiti, let's say all of the black labor in the labor force right now says, fuck it, we're not working, we're done. The mines will close.
That is a very extreme case. On the last day, on Judgment Day, there will be men in the mines. So this is a very extreme exaggeration, right? He's saying, let's go to the very edges of the mind. He's saying, look at it this way. The Eskom, the people who are currently running Eskom right now, we have to beg for them to stay there because if they leave, nobody else knows about Eskom. So it's important for them to stay. That's what an activist and spokesperson for the Eskom board would say if somebody was representing corruption and they were spinning and being PR managers for corruption at Eskom. They would give us this exact example that Warras is giving us.
You can have all the IP in your brain as Anglo. The mine will close if all the black labor there in Northwest or fucking Limpopo, wherever their mine is, says, we are out. We're not doing it.
Okay, that's fine. No arguing it. If everybody was to leave, of course, nothing would work. But nobody would. Let's go to your extremes, but come back to reality. What are you saying in reality?
Where are they going to get the labor force? Are they going to go recruit whites? They won't find enough. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not to say they are equally important, but they're equally important. You can't do one without the other. And the quicker we realize that,
you see how he doubted saying or stating the importance of the labor in an economy being as important as the CEOs, the board, the mind. He's saying that, yeah, man, you can't really say that the brain is as important as the feet, but they're kind of important because without one, there's no walking, but without one, there's no thinking. But the message overall here is in order to be a receiver, a responder, he is supposed to be the black voice in South Africa, the Aikumalos, the Katlejos, the 360 experience, the Visama Sambit. There's this group of people who are grabbing onto this and saying, we are the black people with sense. We are the ones who are saying, keep these white people. Don't tell them to leave. Nobody is telling white people to leave. It's Donald Trump who has told them to come. If you really want to beg for white people staying here, argue with Trump and say, Trump, we want our white people here. We don't want them to go. It's senseless for you to say they should come there. But instead, Warras is going towards the black people who've been responding on Twitter saying, yo, let it be. Let what be be. He's saying, no, don't respond like that. Respond by saying, they should stay. They should stay. They should stay. And this is a colored dude, right? Probably referring to the black majority, trying to give us this mindset. And he can have the audacity to do that because he's been a radio presenter. I loved him very much, Warras. This is not a criticism of who he's been overall. This is a criticism of who he is right now, currently. I'm shocked that having now had the platform to speak to black people, to serve us ads and entertainment, now you're serving us propaganda. You are telling us that Zimbabwe is coming to us. Let me actually ask you the question. Let's look at this very extreme case of yours. White people were to leave. They would leave their houses. They'd leave the restaurants, they'd leave mall management, they'd leave their properties, their Airbnbs. Those who leave their Ubers would leave their Ubers. Those who have office spaces would leave their office spaces. My brah, South Africa is way too advanced. And the concentration of wealth is so extremely wide that this country cannot collapse. We are given this fear that this country is in the hands of black people who have the ability to collapse it. You know, the ANC and the NCS can screw service delivery. They can screw with the economy. They can act in ways that can stop investors from coming. They can make this place look hostile, etc., etc. But for the most part, the private institutions, the private organizations, there's ShopRites in war zones across this African country. There's ShopRite in war zones. There's DSTV where there's an MTN across Africa where there's bombs falling. Why is that possible? Why would it not be possible in South Africa for Builders Warehouse to remain where Builders is, for Macro to remain where Macro is, for Vodacom to remain where Vodacom is? Why would they go? Why would Christo Vises and Johan Rupert's stock values be allowed to plummet by them as the people who are champions and promoters and motivators for the shareholder price? They would just, man, we're leaving this place. Nah, man. These are nightmares. He's come here to give us nightmares. Let's listen.
The faster we'll be on the path to actually achieving something, because we're not achieving anything by coming with an Idi Amin style where he kicked all the Indians out. And he said, the Indians are taking everything. Fuck them. They must go back to India.
It's Trump who's calling them. It's Trump who's calling them. You've come here to tell us that we are being ridiculous if we agree with Trump. If we are ridiculous for agreeing with Trump, disagree with Trump, our source. It's Trump who says, let's go. And we are saying, bye-bye.
The place fell apart. Mugabe told the people in Zim, guys, we're taking back the land, go and grab whichever farm you like. You whites, fuck off. Collapse. Collapse. Till this day, it's collapsed. They were begging white farmers to come back and farm.
And so we must beg them not to go, because we'll beg them to come back. Warras, who have you been speaking with in the corners? Dan Corder said that there's some dark money going around. There's guys being paid to put certain titles in their content, to go on certain interviews and, give us this Wit Gevaar living. It's the opposite of the Swart Gevaar. The white people are afraid to stay because there's a black danger, and we black people are now supposed to live under the fear of Wit mense living Gevaar. You're screwing with us, Warras.
And it's not because they are white. I think once we also just take the race thing out of it, it's not because they are white. It's because for generation after generation after generation, they have spent the time, effort, and energy learning the skills needed to farm land. You can't just throw those skills away because you went to university and now you also want to farm. These people have been farming for 3-4 generations on that very land. Let's keep them.
Let's keep them.
But let's find a way to work which is equitable. And that's not what we're doing. We're saying, you farmed here for the longest time. Give it to me now, you fuck off. From government's perspective, when they...
Nobody's saying you fuck off. It's Trump who says, screw them black people. Come, I'm showing you some privilege. I am showing you that I'm a white supremacist president, and I will do the unimaginable. Black people are shocked currently. There are Hispanic farmers. There are black farmers who in the United States are currently struggling with their commercial farming. For Trump to invite Afrikaners to come there and try to revive them and give them a life over there would be immediately wrong to the American citizen. So the white person in South Africa must not think that they are a global citizen. No, they are a South African. In America, they are nothing. They are trailer park dwellers in the United States. Here, they are kings, the elite ruling class.
When they make these announcements, they do so with a political plan in mind. They want to buy people. That's what they do. They fool people and buy them with SASSA grants and promises.
Hold up. Now, let's quickly switch on over to Julius Malema. We've gotten the gist of what Warras has come here for. Let's get to hear it from Julius Malema. Back with another video. Let's listen to Julius Malema right quick.
White farmers must stay in South Africa, but I won't beg them. I won't be on my knees begging white farmers to stay in South Africa. But they must stay. If they want to stay, they are more than welcome. Like all South Africans, there's nothing special about them. Nothing. To ask me about, do I see value in the white farmers in South Africa, is to ask me about white privilege. I'm not going to glorify it. I see value in all South Africans.
It's not to say they are equally important, but they're equally important.
White, black, Indian, coloreds. All of us, I value you. I want you to contribute in the growth of the economy. There's nothing special about white farmers. There's nothing special about white people. The sooner we do that, away with that mentality, the better. I have no problem with white people at all. I have a problem with them being treated special. I have a problem with privilege. That's my problem. That when I say something, it's wrong. But when it gets to be said by a white person, it's right. I complained about Indians and how they are treating our people. The same way an Indian former constitutional court judge says, when it is said by an Indian judge, it's not a problem. When it is said because they've got a special place in heaven and we are all going to hell, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that.
You hear that? Julius has a big problem with Warras and his attempt to convince us that we are all important while he's not really demonstrating the importance of others.
That when things are said by certain people of a different color, they are understood. But when I say them, or Dali says them, or any African says them, they are said by an African child who comes from a poor family, a child of a domestic worker. Who's he to tell us? Can't be told by these people. So no one is going to destroy any white farm. No white person is going to be killed or beaten up.
So, what is Warras singing for? Is he singing for some supper? It has been established that the whites are welcome. By the way, this video is 3 years or 4 years old. So what was the need? Is Penuel also trying to push the agenda? Because Penuel has been known to associate with a particular billionaire who is currently going around spreading ghost stories about how the expropriation bill is going to take away your house, your car, your watch, your rims. You understand what I'm saying? He's currently doing that. And you have to understand, white people have the right to protest. This is what they are doing. We know a protest to be something out in the street, house. You know, it's got a certain flare up and then it dies, it disappears, and the people go on social media. No, this is the white people's form of protest against the expropriation bill. You know, they can say whatever. They really can say whatever. I mean, if you really didn't know the speciality that white people treat themselves with, and that's not really a problem, I actually would promote everybody to have a high self-regard, one that is not overbearing and dominating of other people's self-worth, right? Their consideration for their self-worth is one such that they have the right to protest and have extreme, outrageous placards that say, the potholes, the state of potholes in South Africa, we are calling on international forces. The potholes in South Africa are so bad that they will swallow your entire car. One day you'll be driving and your Ferrari will just go down a pothole leading all the way to hell and you'll never recover your car. It'll be expropriated. If they want to form all of these nightmares, they absolutely can. They absolutely can. But let me leave this video over here for you to watch the rest of this speech by Julius Malema here as he addresses these things that we are going through. He addressed them quite a while back, so you know, he knew that these things would come and he was honest to speak like this. If you want to watch the rest of it, click the video right here. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment. I will see you next time. This is my baby, by the way, my baby girl.